Welcome to BAM, Badass Moms with Lori and Jenny. We are moms on a mission to share women's stories about life, fitness, aging, relationships, travel, and much more. Hello, friends, and thanks for listening. I just wanted to take a second to give you a quick reminder about subscribing to the show. If you have not already, just take a moment and do so. This will make sure that you never miss a daily bite or an upcoming episode. And in addition to that, if you have a few extra moments and like to drop us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And there's also a sponsor of the show located at the bottom of all of our episodes. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being badass. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BAM with Lori and Jenny. Today, we are going to dive into the inspiring story of Heather Cracraft. Heather is a true Colorado gem. She has literally weathered the storms of life, from losing her home in the devastating Marshall Fire to the sudden passing of her partner. She has still emerged stronger and more resilient than ever. She is currently the assistant to the athletic director at the University of Colorado Boulder. She's very passionate about sports and supporting the student athletes. So get ready to get uplifted and motivated as we dive into Heather's incredible journey. And not to forget, Heather has 2 grown children in their 20s, so she is truly a badass mom. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and looking forward to our conversation.
Yay. Well, we are so happy to have you. And as Lori said, you have been through it for the last however many years. And a mutual friend, Paula, who has also been on the show, who is absolutely lovely and knows the most wonderful people, she said, you have to meet this woman. And so that's why we had to reach out and had to talk to you. So I'd love to hear, we talked a little bit about you've been through a lot of crap the last little bit here. So why don't you just take us down that path? What's been going on with you?
Hindsight is obviously always a gift, but it has been a crazy ride, but I am very thankful and blessed through it all. So to be able to kind of look back and talk about it is also a gift, because I think it's a way to heal and to help others. Kind of background, yes, grown kids. One was already flown the coop, but I had gotten divorced, kind of went through that journey of, will I own my own home? Will I rent? What's the future going to be like? Had bought a wonderful home at that time, also met a wonderful man that was part of my life. And then kind of fast forward, obviously in Boulder County, Marshall Fire occurred. And I was one of those homes that was lost of the 1,000 that were. It was a miner's cabin. It was my little dream home with my sweet man. And so we kind of trudged through that. And then about 8 weeks lost the house, I lost him, which I don't say it lightly. Obviously, yes, huge tragedy, but I believe he's still kind of watching over myself and all my friends, including Paula, kind of leading down the path. So, but, fast forward to a few years later, and I just moved into my brand new house on the same property. So that's obviously been me. And I have called that home now for 3 months. So.
You went through.
Thank you. Yes, it was, it was the holiday, right? So I actually had the day off from work because it was December 30th. I went to yoga in the morning and thought, I'm going to come home and just drink my tea and relax. Got home from an early workout and kind of sat down and watched things starting to blow around. And I'm a big decorate the house to the hill. And saw decorations kind of flying. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to have to, get up, get stuff done. Started kind of putting stuff away and smelled smoke, which isn't always something that would be triggering, but kind of thought, I don't see much. So went through, fast forward through that and realized it was somewhere nearby, but could not see it. So my guy at the time, we hopped in the car and kind of drove around, not knowing where it was coming from, but it was evident. The winds were really kind of at an odd angle. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
The winds were insane. They were like, living in Colorado my whole entire life, sometimes in being up in Louisville, you get winds, but that day was literally the perfect storm and just so much wind, so much smoke. It was incredible.
And I describe it as it was even coming, like it wasn't coming from the west. It was coming from the east. So where my house sits, area different. Looking back on it, it was like, okay, this is not right. This is something weird. We hopped in the car and kind of drove, right back behind Costco, where everyone now knows was the Sagamore community, and went down just a dirt trail that we all trail, you go on running on or hiking or walks, and kind of came upon what was a gigantic flame coming kind of not towards us, but it was like, okay, turn around. We got to get home. And got home. And honestly, I hopped out of the car, checked on a neighbor who was next door to make sure she was okay because she was by herself. She opened the door and she said, Heather, we're evacuated. And I went, huh? So grabbed a weekend's worth of clothes. Honestly, didn't think about anything else. Grabbed my favorite blanket from my grandmother. And we grabbed... his name's Carl's computer, and because that was his work. And to be honest, took 5 minutes. I videotaped the whole interior of the house, videotaped the inside of the garage.
That was smart. Wow. You were on it on that one. Whoa.
Up my car, right? We left the garage and departed. Thinking days.
Did you actually, so because you videotaped the house, that makes me think maybe you did, but did you actually think, because a lot of times stuff happens, like there's so many drills and things like that, and you don't actually think it's going to happen, right?
Correct.
Did you think it was going to happen?
I didn't. I thought it would be smoke. I thought it would be, and again, now knowing what I know, I'm not sure smoke mitigation is any easier than losing your whole house. But something just told me to do it. On a different front, I'm a huge scrapbooker, and I had probably 40 scrapbooks. I kept the two I've always kept, like my one about growing up and my kids, each kind of baby books, were underneath the TV. I did not even think about grabbing them.
Wow. So to that point, is there anything besides, you probably wish you would have grabbed those, but in those moments you grabbed, your instincts kicked in, you're like, I'm grabbing these things. Is there anything that you're like, I really wish I would have grabbed that? Or for the most part, are you like, you know what, it's just stuff?
For everything, I think we all were very blessed through that experience, and the fact that not many lives were lost. And to be honest, it was the two of us. We didn't have pets. I didn't have my kids at home. So for us, the evacuation was, I guess, simpler. Yes. Is there anything I would have grabbed? Maybe, but to be honest, it's not something that comes to mind right now. So maybe that's the answer.
We're 3 years, almost 3 years, right, out from the fire, which is incredible. How has it changed you? I'm just curious, like your thought process, like Jenny just referred to like stuff. I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, there are those like sentimental things. And I've had some friends in the same situation and they're like, I miss this piece of clothing or, something like that. But how has it changed your thought process on stuff and just where you are now versus what you had and what you now have?
Well, I was the keeper of family heirlooms in my family. I was always the one, even though I don't live close to a lot of family, they were like, Heather will keep it. She'll take it. So I love antiques. I love the pieces from my grandparents, the kind of the history and heritage. So I had a lot of stuff. I still in my brain think I have some of those things, even as simple as, oh, I have that sweater. I'm going to go grab it. And I'm like, no, I don't. But it's a process of realizing and reminding ourselves what does matter, right? It's these connections that we have, and it's family and the times we can share with each other. I still love to grab old stuff, at antique stores and stuff for me, because it's just a happy kind of piece of history. But it's more about, I'm trying to focus more on that quality time with friends and family.
So speaking of connections with people, so you went through the fire and literally like 8 weeks later, still displaced, obviously, your partner passes away suddenly. So take us to that if you are willing to go there.
It is. I mean, it's part of the journey. He was an incredible man. who we had been together for about 5 years, huge family man, and someone who just did for others. I think he did it even till the end. I was gone on a scrapbook weekend that weekend that he passed, and we were living with a friend who had let us kind of take over her home, which was wonderful. And she was gone also when he passed overnight, but she was the one who found him. And to say she kind of led me through this path, she was the perfect person to find him, someone who really believes in energy, and both of us have really gone through a lot since then, obviously, but he was a good soul that I think went the way he wanted to go, obviously way too soon, but he had started the path of my rebuilding. To be honest, he kind of started we're going to clean the lot, we're going to rebuild right there, this is what it's going to look like. So I mean, I honestly live now in a place that he created, and he definitely made good things happen and continues to do that.
It's one of those things that you try to find the best, the good in it, right? In such a tough situation. I mean, he sounds like he was just an amazing person and someone that came into your life for so many reasons. Was this completely unexpected? Did he have any health issues leading up to this, or was this just completely out of the blue?
Out of the blue. He had some heart problems earlier on in his life, but it was a moment where his heart just stopped. So I believe in my heart that it was, the way I wanted to go, but we still miss him. So.
Oh my gosh.
Do you feel him around? Like where do you feel him most?
Not to be hopefully this doesn't offend anyone, but I actually put his ashes in the corners of the foundation of the house. Happy. He loved that place. And it's evident that he's there. I, in fact, hosted an event at my house on Tuesday night, and one friend came over and just said, I walked into your room and I wanted you to know Carl said hi.
Oh,
yeah.
So I have my dog, not the same, but my dog's ashes are in the foundation of our house.
Are they really?
Yeah. Yeah. We lost her the year before we moved in, and we didn't know what to do with her ashes, and nothing felt right. And when we were moving into this house, we're like, this is the place. And so we scattered. We've been here for 21 years. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I have my dog who passed away, who I had for 17 years. And it was so tough last year. Actually, it's almost been a year, and he's still just sitting on my mantle. I haven't figured out where he's going, but right now he's just hanging out, which I'm okay with. So what a tough time. But like you said, it seems like, I just always trying to find the best and the good in crazy situations. And where you are now, it sounds like you are now in your new home, which has got to feel just a little more settled for you, right? Like you're back to like having your own place of kind of starting over. How have your kids, so you have two adult children, how have they been there to kind of support you through all of this? We always support our kids, but on the flip side.
That's a great question. They're not here. They, I guess I taught them to fly too well. They flew away, which I'm very proud of. And by the way the world works, they happen to both be in Oregon now. So my daughter is 23 and my son is 27. They have been a constant source of energy. My daughter had lived in the house that we lost. So for her, I think it was a little bit different. And I think she's found a lot of kind of commonalities with high school friends. They didn't live through it together because she was still going to school at that time and had flown back to campus the night before. Which was, I think, a very good thing that she did not have to experience it. But they've both been strong and making sure that I'm upright. But I'm very proud of them, and my daughter has come back to see the house, but got to get my son here. But he just recently proposed, so he's a little busy. Excited about his.
I love it. I love what you said about they've both like moved away, and it's like that bittersweet, like you've done your job and you've given them the confidence to like go and live their own life. But then you're like, it's also, it sucks, right? You're like, when am I going to see you again? And, so
But
bizarre.
a quality time, right? Is
Yeah.
dead making sure that happens. And it's that ball's in my court right now. I need to go to Oregon.
It's not a bad place to visit.
No.
So Heather, let's take a step into your career, because I'm fascinated. I have always been a sports-minded person. I've always been into athletics. I've never been that good. I've always just kind of been in the quotes, like good enough, and having fun. And I think you have like what I think would be such a fun, amazing job. You are the assistant to the athletic director at Colorado University in Boulder. Yeah, take us down that path. How did you end up there? What does your day-to-day look like?
Hopefully people, as I know you have fans across the nation, might know about Colorado now. It's been a wild place of late, but I was a student here, fell in love with the black and gold, and as many of my friends would attest, bleed black and gold, have been a season ticket holder since the day I stepped on campus. And then had the opportunity to come work here 6 years ago with Rick George as the athletic director. He and I just connected immediately and just really complement each other well, hold each other accountable. And then you fast forward to kind of the climate of sports that we're in the world of collegiate sports. And to say it's a wild ride is probably an understatement, but it's, and if you ask me a question, the answer might change tomorrow. But it's been a lot of fun. It's a rewarding career. And Lori is a sports fan and a sports athlete. It's even more fun, right? To work with these young men and women. We have the pleasure of working with all 375 right now that are really just striving for their goals, right? Like children, you want them to reach and fly and do everything they can in life. And that's what I have the pleasure of doing every day. So I'm very lucky.
So what are your interactions with the athletes? Do you actually get to, meet them all, or what are you kind of, just give me a little bit more detail into your day-to-day, I suppose.
Yes. So I really get to meet potential recruits that are being brought in by the coach to meet with the athletic director. Obviously, I get to meet them. And then you can, it's fun to see them when they commit to the school and come on as a freshman, or maybe they're a transfer, because a lot of transfers are now appearing on campus. So I sit in a position in the building that we have, kind of overlooking Folsom Field, that's in the hallway. So any student athlete that's walking by that's looking for, whether it be one of their coaches or a sport supervisor, I get the pleasure of kind of directing them. So hopefully gets a little interaction. And then it's a rough job, but I get to attend a lot of the events. So last night we had a women's basketball event. So I really got to know, we have 10 new players on that team. So I got a little FaceTime with each of them and get to know them really for who they are before they put on their jersey. Yeah. I'll be cheering for our soccer team on Sunday. Gotten to know a lot of those women who, I just get to run into at the lunch line, so to speak. But hear about their kind of personal lives outside the sport and how can we help, if anything, it's just sharing a smile and lifting them up after a tough game.
Yeah.
So were you an athlete?
I was not. I was high school. I played softball, nothing compared to what these D1 athletes are, but always been a sports fan. Grew up going to baseball games, going to football games. It's always been my passion. So I used to say I wanted to be involved somehow in the Olympics, just because of that kind of awness of the world coming together and trying to achieve individual goals. But being in the world of collegiate sports is pretty awesome.
Well, Jenny, you need to jump in and tell her, because Jenny was telling me that she's convinced that she's going to be in the Olympics someday.
Yeah. I've decided that I could still be in the Olympics, and I just have to find the right sport. So I think, a couple things. I don't know if y'all saw Raygun, the breakdancer. And I know she's gotten a lot of crap over her performance and, she shouldn't have been there and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, but the reality is she was there and she made it there. And she kind of showed me like, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. And there's also been stories about older people like being in the Olympics in different sports. I think there was like a table tennis so I'm like, you know what? I think I could still be in. So I'm convinced, but the mindset of athletes just never ceases to amaze me because before we hopped on before we started recording, I was telling Heather and Lori that my daughter is doing the El Camino Trail, and she did not train for it. It was just something she decided when she was in Europe, and she did 16 miles today, and she was in tears because her feet hurt and all the things. And it's like, that's the beauty of it. It's the mental toughness. It's not even the physical stuff. It's like the mental toughness that these kids have to have. And she may decide to continue on. She may decide not to continue on, but regardless, it's going to give her a lesson in what her body is capable of, right? And how much mental preparation you need.
That's what I love about, I think, sports and about, events is it's not just physical, right? Like, yes, there's a huge component that is you need to physically be, in enough shape to complete the task. But also a lot of it is so much mental, right? And I mean, you see this every day with the athletes, right? Like they have to show up, not just physically be there, but they have to be in the right mindset to actually, make the most of having their opportunities at that level of play. So let's talk about your kiddos. So are they into sports? Do they think mom has a really cool job? Like what's their take on it all?
They are, my son played a lot of sports. My daughter did also. My son's always been a sports fanatic. He obviously went to the University of Oregon. That's, talk about attracting young adults to become students at, in Eugene. Not surprising. Their marketing is brilliant, but and then my daughter played a lot of sports. She and I used to joke about when she was younger that it was, let's go watch sports ball. And that was it. Now she's the one calling me and telling me about, some of our former players that are now in the WNBA. Hey, mom, did you see her play? Look at her stats. And then she'll call and tell me this play was run the wrong way on the football field. See, you might not have been paying attention, but you are catching on. So we have a lot of fun talking about sports. They know how much I love working here. So it's been fun for them to kind of follow and cheer me on. And of course, we're all just wishing for the best because that's what I want for our student athletes. And it would be fun to be part of it.
What has working in this kind of environment taught you? Like, what have you learned or taken away?
That's a great question. It might take it back to that mental, because I say it all the time about both of my kids. They teach me so much right now about being aware of ourselves. I'm one of those who doesn't want to talk about myself. So good work, ladies, getting me here. And to focus on ourselves. I mean, my daughter will call and say, Mom, I'm having a rough time. Can you help me work through this? And I so admire the younger men and women who have that as part of their lives. And I'm trying to take that on. So obviously being around these student athletes that, as you pointed out, are balancing both that being a student first and being an athlete who is critiqued and, on every possible, social media, live stream, everything, and balancing that in their headspace. So I really try to focus on being aware of my surroundings and making around me have the support that they need.
Yeah, I love how you say that, because I do remember there was a clip, a couple of weeks ago when the football team had they had some pretty amazing games the last couple of weeks, but they had just an extremely wonderful game. And I remember Dion was up there saying, to the media, you need to praise these kids as much as you knock them down when they don't do a good job, because it's really such a tough balance for them, as they are in the media and they are just constantly surrounded with people telling them on a bad day how bad they are, but on those good days, lifting them up. I thought that was brilliant to point that out.
It's interesting too, because it's not it used to be, even when social media came out, it was like, oh, they might be on social media, but now there's actually shows. I don't know. Have you watched Prime?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm like, is there going to be another season? But yeah, so I watched Prime, of course. And it started before Dion was at CU. And then of course it was really cool to watch when they went to see you, because you see your local places and stuff like that. But I mean, these kids, you see every aspect of their life, and they're expected to have a whole brand and have a whole like social media presence. And it's like they're supposed to know how to do all this stuff while navigating studies, while, I mean, a lot of them moved from very different places of the country, have never experienced anything like this. I mean, one of the things that really struck me, and I don't know if you all have felt the same, but these kids of color are dropped into Boulder, which is one of the whitest places you've ever seen. And it honestly, I'm just like, I hope that they don't feel isolated. I hope they feel love, like supporting them and around them, because I can't imagine that.
Right. Yeah, we're building strong men and women for sure, and making sure they feel the sense of community and family while they're on. As I always say to them, once they're a Buffalo, they're going to have that imprint on their heart. And what takes them, in the world they live in right now, especially when you look at the football team, they can transfer, each season if they choose to, but Boulder will always be part of them. Fun to watch, those transitions, spending time with the women's basketball team, same thing. A lot of them are from out of the country. A few of them have never kind of been in the States. So how do we, as the adults and the leaders, try to kind of make sure they're comfortable and have all the resources they need, is really what our mission is. And that's where I find joy, is making sure that they're taken care of. And of course, then my mom instincts come in and want to make sure they're feeling okay and doing kind of the check-ins.
You still get to be mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I was just going to ask, how short does the women's basketball team make you feel?
Yes, very short. I'm all last night where we had an event where you really get to see them. It's literally called Women's Basketball One-on-One, and they are interviewed on stage, and they're all dressed in their heels too. So they're already 6'3", and I'm like, and of course I'm wearing flats because. But yeah.
I worked at a medical device company, and a lot of the people that I supported, so it was a sales team, they were a lot of former athletes. And my husband happens to be 5'6". He says 5'7", but he's 5'6". And I'm 5'4". And we would go to the holiday party, and all these, they were mostly men. They were all, but the women too were tall, but majority were men. And they were all like 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", whatever. And so we left at the end of the night, and I said to my husband, I go, so what'd you think? He goes, my neck is so sore.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
yeah. So how's your neck this morning?
Yeah.
It was.
So Heather, let's talk about other things you like to do for fun, like your passions, when you're not working and you're giving and helping all these youth athletes really be their best selves. What are you doing for you to kind of, give yourself that time away from work and, that you're passionate about?
A lot of it has to be around the new house. They'll put rods and deciding where things are hung. So, and that is pure happiness for me. I can do, because it already feels like home, but kind of I love to be organized. So someday that'll happen. I do love to be with friends. Obviously, any opportunity we can get to be outside. Obviously, our weather still in Boulder is stunning. Hard to believe we're mid-October, and so far so good. I love the fall. It's my favorite. So to be able to get out and about and to the mountains on occasion is definitely high priority. And then I think I took a big step for myself, challenging myself as we continue to try to do as we get older, and threw my name in the hat, and I'm running for a position on what in the town of Superior is called the Board of Trustees. So doing a little campaigning until November 5th, but looking forward to being able to give back to the community that I really have got so much from. So that would be the next kind of endeavor.
That's awesome. Have you ever been in like that side of things before? Like, is this completely new to you?
Completely new. I would tell you I do not like politics. In my life before I worked here in athletics, so I was part of the Superior Chamber of Commerce. as their executive director. So really got to know the business owners and making that connection with the businesses and the residents and trying to obviously do the best for everyone. So this opportunity arose and we'll see what happens on election day, but it's been fun to kind of reconnect with people that live close by that you don't always get to see. So we'll see.
Good for you. That's huge. What is it taught you, the whole process? What has that taught you?
It's surreal to see your name on a yard sign when you're driving. I won't lie. It's been fun to have a few people reach out and go, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Really trying to take the back seat and listen to what people want or have concerned about, right? We all have our own little hot topics to where we live, where we take our kids to school and the area in which we call home. So really teaching me just to be that active listener. And if I get the opportunity to be one of the leaders making decisions, I will continue that and hopefully even learn that even more.
Good for you. That's awesome. Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. So what, one of the questions I always kind of go back to also is, what are you most proud of?
That's a good question. Obviously our conversations have been kind of over the multiple lives I've led over the last 7, 8, 9 years. Probably just keeping the faith and really kind of looking to each day as an opportunity. I mean, that really has been something that keeps kind of coming up in my mind is maximize each day to the fullest and keep kind of looking for those signs from above that are reminders of all the good things that we have around us.
I love it. It's like being in the moment, right? Just appreciating.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's honestly like we have to learn that. And with age, I feel like we have to constantly kind of take a moment and just remind ourselves because it does go by so quick, right? And when you have those very, very impactful things happen in your life, such as, your house burning down, your partner passing away, your kids growing up and out of the house, like, taking that time to just appreciate all of those things, although good and bad, and where you are right now and how you got there. And like you said, just really valuing everything and just taking a breath. And, I think Colorado allows that. I'm a huge outdoor fan. So like when you say fall is your favorite season, like hands down my favorite season.
Yeah.
Like, just to go outside and look around and say, wow, life is good.
I think it also gives us, that reminder that there are a lot of people around us that might be having a bad day and we have no idea why. So trying to smile back to someone, I think is important because you might learn that kind of, again, hindsight, that what they were going through, it made a difference. So I hope that is something I get to do every day.
Yeah, love it. And you get to see a lot of people. So you get to cheer them on as they go by.
That is true.
Right. You get to make an impact. I think that is once again, I go back to such an amazing job, just being able to surround yourself with kids and such that I say kids, but these 20, 18, 19-year-old kids where they're trying to figure themselves out like in a different way where we're trying to figure ourselves out later in our life, right? The kids are figuring themselves out differently and just having that impact and being there and being a support system and just as simple as saying, hi, I'm here. Welcome to this really big place, so I think that's incredible. So
one of the other things that Lori loves to ask that I'm going to jump in. What are you most excited about?
Oh, most excited about. That's a great question. I would probably, it's the future, which just sounds so simple, but yet so bland. Obviously, my son proposing to his sweetheart. They've been together for quite a few years, so I'm very, very excited for them because they are so good for each other. And my daughter's kind of navigating her new work world and in a new town, which she seems to be, as we joke about, adulting pretty well. So proud of that. And really just anything in the future that might be surprising. We'll see kind of what that might be, but the future, that would probably be my simple answer.
I know this is probably sort of a weird question, but because we all have like worries and daily things that we, think about, but did everything that you've gone through, has it lessened your worries about the future? or has it changed it at all?
That's a great question. I think, and I say it every once in a while, is I'm not sure it's worth the worry, or it's worth that exertion of energy to worry about something. If anything, my faith has grown stronger each day. So it's been more focused on that. Like I talked about, what are the little things around me that are going well? That's the positive part. And to work, my mom is a very big worry wart, and I love her. So I try to remind her is that something she needs to be focusing on when maybe our energies need to be put elsewhere. So
yeah. It goes back to like that point in our life where we then have to like guide our own parents, right? So they've guided us for so much of our life, and then there becomes a switch where it's like, Mom, let me tell you. That's awesome. Well, Heather, you have been such a joy to talk to today. And I mean, an incredible journey. I feel, sorrow for your pains, but I also feel excitement for your triumphs. And I'm just, looking forward to all the things the world and the days have in store for you. And although I went to that other school, that one with the Rams, I am finding my husband went to CU, and I am finding a love of CU sports. So I think that's a big accomplishment. Right? Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be thinking of you. We'll be thinking of you during elections and cheering you on.
Yes. And that reminds me, everybody go out and vote.
Yes, go vote.